Authorities baffled after legendary sword in stone mysteriously vanishes from seemingly inaccessible locations. Or location, singular, sorry. Yeah, okay. And so you can see up here in the photograph, there's this sword that's embedded in the stone of this ancient castle, or it's not a new castle, so we can call it an old castle. How about that? So the Durandal sword is what this is known as, which again has echoes back to Tolkien. And you got to know J.R.R. Tolkien knew about this particular thing, and in particular Sir Roland and the old tale. But because Durandal, of course, is sounds like Anduril, right? Anyway, very similar. But anyway, so the Durandal sword, a famous weapon protruding from stone and a cherished artifact of Rocamadour in southern France, pardon my French, has mysteriously vanished, according to recent reports. And this was reported to us on the 4th of July. The disappearance of the French town's own version of the famous Excalibur legend, first reported by the Telegraph, has left the community grappling with the loss of what is widely regarded as its most significant historical and cultural symbol. Okay. Now, again, if you look at what this looks like, it is absolutely wild. This is rusty old sword on a chain that's smashed into just the rock, the side of the castle's side, but it's way up there too. It's not like down where you can grab it easily and, like tourists can come and give it a tug and try and, extract the sword from the stone like Excalibur and become the king of Britain or whatever, the king of France in this case. It's not like that. It's way up there. You need at least a ladder to get up to touch this thing, right? Okay, so the wild part is, well, it's been there this is a replica, by the way. So this isn't the actual sword of Sir Roland. It's not, okay? This is a replica they put up there. It's been up there as sort of a nod to the story and their place in the story in southern France, okay? So it is a fake sword. It's not real, the real one that goes back to antiquity. But it doesn't make you wonder if they actually have that somewhere in some Indiana Jones style vault, okay? But anyway, the wild part is exactly that. So this sword was supposedly able to have, of course, special powers, as these swords typically do, right? And this one in particular was able to cut through boulders and stone. So in this sword in the stone in the side of the castle, right? So yeah, wild stuff. Okay, so a little bit more from this, and then we'll get to the rest of the narrative here, because it got me thinking about not just, as we always talk about, how there's nothing new under the sun, history repeats itself. Even sometimes you can sniff out some of these things before they happen, because we did the temple show, that whole bit from stuff that was on TV. And so these empires collecting these artifacts, for what reason? Again, other than, for the lulz, you steal the Mona Lisa and you're like, ha, 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 we've got the Mona Lisa in the warehouse and nobody knows. Okay, but still nobody knows. I mean, you see what I mean? It's kind of knuckleheaded. You can't really go sell this thing. You can't really go sell like an actual artifact that everybody would recognize on the black market. That doesn't make any sense, because then you're going to get caught. Anyway, you get the point. There's like a weirdness to this when you start to steal actual, specifically, directly unique artifacts. Okay, so back to this. So the weapon has long been associated with an indestructible sword wielded by Roland, the legendary knight featured in French epic literature. Along with the mystery of the sword's disappearance is the question of how the thief who extracted the famous sword from its embedded location managed to scale a 10-meter cliff to retrieve it. Okay, so those of you that are not very in tune with the metric system, I'm going to translate for you, for us obtuse Americans. That's 30 feet. That's 30 feet high, okay? 10 meters is 30 feet high. And so that's a long way up. Yeah. Anyway, you get it, right? So what do they do? Kind of crop circle style. You bring a ladder out in the middle of nowhere by dark of night and scale the side of a castle and peel out the famous sword from the stone. I mean, it has its chain too. I mean, it's weird. It's super weird, right? It's super weird. Anyway, so currently the police are investigating the disappearance of the prize artifact, which locals regard as an irreplaceable mainstay of the town and its history. Now, specifically, the questions that came to my mind when I was reading this is, again, like what we were talking about during that Indiana Jones show. So why do we have, not just as humans, this fascination with the idea of, hoarded treasure or unique artifacts that were touched by a saint or a famous knight or, King Arthur or Lancelot or Percival or whatever, what have you, right? Like we're incredibly fascinated with historical figures, but then not just that in the stories themselves, but also some actual physical, tangible link to the past. And yeah, and it seems like it's not good enough to even have a representation of this. And this is why we can't have nice things, guys. Somebody climbs 30 feet up a castle wall and steals the famous sword. Okay? Now, so the question is, why? The question is why? Is it for the lulz? Is it indeed just because it's a funny thing and, you know, now it's hanging on some dude's apartment wall as he's playing video games and he's like, ha, 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 ha. And it's like him and his buddy's inside joke type of thing? Maybe. But, you know, as they say, right, why do people do anything, Mike? I don't know. I can't tell you why people do weird stuff and steal things. And I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. I can't tell you why this stuff happens, but it does make my tinfoil tingle a little bit when this is the type of stuff that continues to happen throughout history. There is a very keen interest in, let's say, as I'm calling tonight, the human hubris effect, or human hubris in the forgotten past. There's a very keen interest of humans themselves to actually delve out these artifacts, to find some tangible link to the past, to even create, let's say, a manifestation of an old story that is just myth or legend or fable, and actually bring it into to some version of true reality based on the artifact itself. Okay, so I get that aspect of the fascination with it, but beyond that, I mean, if you don't believe in magic, I mean, surely then this is not a magic sword, am I right? Especially since it's a replica, not the real one from the days of yore. But you get what I mean. So why? Why again are we taking these things and doing exactly what with them? And, you know, it brings to mind ritual magic. It brings to mind all manner of wild things. And so, of course, the question is why? And we'll get to some other stuff because, of course, there's some other amazing parallels as part of this. Because you know me, I'm a digital pack rat. I'm always picking stuff out of the zeitgeist that's interesting and put it in this little pocket I got. It's this massive folder on the interwebs. And I just kind of scan through it. And when I notice a pattern, that's when I'm like, wait a minute, we got something here. And I'll pull them out and we'll talk about it as a pattern. A synchromistic pattern, okay? And that's where we start tonight. Grave dangers, human hubris in the forgotten past. Why? Not only do we have the fascination with these ancient artifacts, I described maybe one reason, but why do we have people the world over stealing these things, including, of course, the British Empire, the Nazis during World War II, on and on and on, as we talked about back in the Indiana Jones show. Why? Does this make any sense to you at all? And do you think this is really hanging on some guy's wall while he plays video games? Tonight we're taking your calls as we're looking back to the past once again. Human hubris in the forgotten past, grave dangers I'm calling this, because of course, authorities baffled after legendary sword in stone mysteriously vanishes from seemingly inaccessible location. No, this is not Excalibur. It is a sword in the stone. It is Sir Roland's sword, which was had magic powers, was said to be able to cut through anything, including stone. And this is it's not even real. It's not even, from antiquity. This is sort of a souvenir type thing that they put up in the castle and, chained up there. And, for the lulz, everybody could go, oh yeah, imagine Sir Roland's sword up there. That'd be super sweet. It's not, but it didn't keep it from getting stolen anyway. Okay. So the weird part of this is, once again, why we keep doing this as humans, why we keep trying to pluck these ancient artifacts as if they're magic. And of course, in a world where magic isn't real, because it's 2024, wink, wink, you make your decision on that. But, and I mean, of course, I'll make the case for that later this week or maybe early next week. But meaning this, why do we repeat these same patterns? And how come it seems like we're really kind of tuned into the zeitgeist here in a lot of ways, doing that Indiana Jones show recently, and then suddenly this happens on the 4th of July, at least it's reported on the 4th of July, with the legendary sword of Sir Roland stolen 30 feet high, 10 meters up from this castle. Okay. Weird, right? I mean, where are your actual surveillance teams and security? It's a castle, for crying out loud. Anyway, so the question becomes, is this stuff magic at all? Or is it magical by the power of belief? And we'll get to that with sort of the quantum realm, back to Schrodinger's cat and some of that stuff. But then also there's some other in the zeitgeist. Again, if you guys follow Twitter X and you're watching the feed that kind of flows through, it's weird how some of this stuff kind of sticks. And it could be me fooling myself and just kind of cherry picking stuff, because that's how synchronicities work, right? But what if they don't? What if meaningful coincidences are there for a particular... Yeah, you get it.